poppin', y'all? It's your boy, Guardy3, and welcome to the morning show. Of course, joining us this morning, this is the house that he built, ladies and gentlemen. It is Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
I'm blessed. Waking up on a Monday, getting ready to talk sports with you and the NFL genius.
And of course, also joining us this morning, he is the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. I haven't been on the morning show in a little bit. Fired up. I think I got snuck one in last week. I think I remember. But I'm fired up. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. Great basketball last night. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't mind, I want to start the show by paying tribute to a guy we just lost Saturday morning, and never met him in person, but I've talked to him multiple times through StreamYard, over the phone, through email, and he's such full energy, such a great human being. We lost Mac McGrath Saturday morning. He's battling cancer for a long time, and I just wanted to pay tribute to him and send my prayers out to Linda, the rest of his family, and the rest of the national streaming sports group. Mac was just full of life, man. He was such a great human being. He had great personality. Look, I can't say enough about like how welcoming he was to us. Like when we were building up the network and we were missing show after show, and he's like, guys, we're on a schedule. We have 10,000 subscribers through the national streaming sports. Like, can you please? And he's super patient with us. Always wanted the best for us. Always spoke highly of Wire to Wire Network. And I can't speak highly enough about Mac. And my prayers go out to Linda and the rest of the family. And I just wanted to start there because without them, we're not on Roku. Without them, we're a lot of stuff that we've grown into is impossible. So, rest in peace, Mac, and you're in my thoughts and prayers.
Let me just concur on that and say that I was able to be on a couple of shows with Mac, and he was a library of sports knowledge. He'd forgotten more about sports than I'll ever know. But what I love most about him, to Gene's point, so welcoming, great advocate for Wire to Wire. He was willing to chop it up on how to improve on my own performance on air. Just a great guy. I really appreciate him, appreciate Linda, and my thoughts and prayers go out to their family.
Yep, and my thoughts and prayers go out to Linda and her family as well.
All right, well, we do have a sports show to bring to you, but this show will be in remembrance, as well as the rest of the week will be in remembrance of Mac McGrath. And hopefully we'll do him proud. Hopefully he's listening to us as he's hanging out and in the pearly gates. But let's get rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we start off with some fun playoff basketball we had yesterday? And why don't we start off with our two favorite words in sports history? We had a Game 7 yesterday. Warriors, Rockets. And I was just wanted to start off with, I was curious, what were your guys' kind of takeaway from that game? Like, the Rockets obviously have some questions that need to be addressed going into the offseason. And we get a great second-round matchup with Draymond and Rudy Gobert. That rivalry gets a 7-game series. So, I'm curious. Why don't we start with you, Mo? What did you think about the game last night?
I thought the game was it was competitive to a point. As I was telling Gene before we went on air, I never thought at any point that the Rockets were going to win. And to be honest, nobody is more surprised that the Rockets were able to make this a 7-game series. I honestly thought the Warriors would beat them in 5. The Houston Rockets are loaded when you look at athletic wing defenders. They're versatile that way. And so, look, and even if you look at the way the pace of the game was played, it's where Houston wanted to play it. It wasn't like Golden State was having a juggernaut offensive night. But Houston's offense is so bad. Their offense is so bad, it hurts their defense. That's how bad their offense is. Your go-to guy can't be Jalen Green. And even though Şengün puts up numbers, when your big man scores 20 plus, but he only shoots 45% from the field, he's not good at finishing in the post. He's a big dude, but he struggles through contact. They don't have a number one or number two option. They've got a number three and a number four option. I don't view them as serious title contenders. Again, the fact that it went 7, props to Ime Udoka and his coaching staff. But I felt like this series went longer than it should have. I'm impressed that it went that long, but I never had any doubts that Golden State was the better basketball team. And look, you and I both know, Gene knows this. When Buddy Hield scores over 20 points and a half, you've lost. You've lost that game.
I mean, he's like instant offense, though. There's definitely times where he gets hot and they start rolling. I remember watching him in Oklahoma and like watching him take that team to the Final Four, and he's gotten hot multiple times. Just like when he starts seeing the ball hit the bucket, like go through the net a few times, he can get really hot. But here, look, I'll go here. I'll say this. On the Rockets side of things, Jalen Green needs to step up. You can't be a Batman playing like that in this 7-game series. He had one game in this series where he looked like the best player on the Rockets. Last night, he was the 4th best player on the Rockets, and there's no questions about that. Van Fleet, Şengün, and who I think was the best player in the Rockets this entire series and going forward is Amen Thompson. That kid is going to be special. Yes. Defensively, offensive. He reminds me of a young Kawhi Leonard. Like when Kawhi Leonard first came up with the San Antonio Spurs, and he's just got it, right? Great defender, very versatile, super athletic. He can do a lot of things with the basketball. And I think this Rockets team is poised for the future. And, you know, Mo, you say you don't see a championship contender in them. I do. I think Ime Udoka is going to get this team gearing up next year. You got to remember, Şengün's so young. Amen Thompson's so young. These guys are going to grow into that Oklahoma City role. And I guess you might have meant this year, not like going forward. But like when I look at this Rockets team, I think their foundation is incredible. If Şengün can just work on finishing at the rim, the guy missed so many bunnings last night. He gets to his spot. He gets to where he wants to be, and he just can't finish around the rim. But got to tip your hat to the Rockets, Ime Udoka, Amen Thompson, and throw a little shade to Jalen Green. Now, for the Golden State Warriors, look, I think when you look at a team that has playoff Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green, a lot of pieces should be able to fit around them. Now, last night, it was Buddy Hield. But without that performance by Buddy Hield, I don't know how this Warriors team continues to take the next step forward. Jonathan Kuminga looks friggin' lost. They need to put an APV out for him. He has no idea where he needs to be on the basketball court. He is awful. Brandon Pazinski looks decent at times, but unless you're giving him a wide open three-pointer, that's the only one he hit last night, he really isn't making shots for them. And when Moses Moody looks lost, Kuminga looks lost, and you have to turn to Kevon Looney to give you 11 good minutes, I don't know if I feel as strongly about the Warriors as I did going into this series as I do going out.
I got you. Look, I get it. I'm with you on Amen Thompson. I don't think their core is a championship core. And I don't think Şengün could get better, but you win with having a superstar and maybe another star beside him. Şengün's not a superstar, and I don't know if he ever will be one. I absolutely know Jalen Green won't be a superstar. I absolutely know Jalen Green won't be an all-star. So that I don't see this foundation that you see. I see Amen Thompson being a special player, and maybe if he can ascend to the levels that you mentioned, if he's going to be Kawhi Leonard-like, then I can see a 1-2 combination of Amen Thompson and Şengün. But again, in this NBA, you have to have shooting, and you have to have a balance of shooting. They don't have any shooters. Fred VanVleet had 2 really good shooting games, but what you average is what you average. He's a below 40% shooter. He's a below 35% shooter from 3. Jalen Green's actually worse than that. And then you look at Amen Thompson and Tari Eason. They're not shooters. They don't have any shooters. And you also have to have shot creators. VanVleet's not a shot creator. He's not that kind of point guard. He doesn't break you down off the dribble. Jalen Green is supposed to be that guy, but he's vastly overrated. I would ask you this, Brett. If you had a choice, better basketball player, because this is one of my favorite questions, Jalen Green or Pods?
That's not.
Jalen Green or Pods? Pods is a better basketball player.
I disagree.
Jalen Green has more talent. The talent argument doesn't make you better by default. If Pods got to take 17 shots a game, he would score more points than Jalen Green, and he would shoot a higher percentage.
I completely disagree with you.
That's what we're here for.
Jalen
Green is what he is what he should be, his proper NBA role. Jamal Crawford. He should be something like Malik Monk. He's that kind of guy.
He's 23, Mo.
Yes, I know. We keep saying he's 23.
He just turned 23.
Right, and that means nothing. He's 23, Gene, but is he in year 1? Is he in year 2? Is he in year 3? Right. He's a 4-year NBA veteran. We have to stop making the excuse that they're young. A lot of guys are young, and then they never become stars. Jalen Green is mentally weak.
I agree with that. But James Harden's mentally weak too, and he became a superstar in the league. So, we can't pretend that doesn't translate. LeBron James is mentally weak,
right?
But a superstar in the league.
But they're great, right? And the argument with those two would be, though, they're great throughout the regular season. Jalen Green wasn't great in the regular season. He wasn't. He wasn't great in the regular season. He was literally their leading scorer because he shot all the damn time. If your leading scorer averages 21 points a game, but he shoots below 40% from 3, no, not 40% from 3, 40% from the field, and below 35 from 3.
43 from the field, 35 from 3.
He's not a good shooter. He's not a good performer. He's vastly overrated. He is the weight around their neck. And if we thought they were ready-made, then people wouldn't already be talking about they might go out and get Booker. They might go out and get Durant. I'll tell you what, if they return this core and assume, because the assumption would be Şengün's going to be much better, Jalen Green's going to be much better. I believe him, and Thompson's going to be better. There's no doubt in my mind. And I love what Tari Eason brings to the table. But if you assume that they will have the same results that they had this year, they will lose in the first round of the playoffs.
I don't know how you can compare him to Brandon Podziemski. I just don't. And I get that Pod played 40 minutes last night. He played 40 minutes last night. He's I wouldn't say a minus defender, but he's an average defender. He's an average shooter, and he has Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler around him. He is not the focal point of that offense. If Pods was the focal point of that offense and teams were putting their best defense, the way they defended Steph Curry in this series was the most physical I've ever seen any team get with Steph Curry. The most physical. If Podziemski was facing that type of defense instead of what Steph Curry was facing, I think that he wouldn't score a point. I don't think he'd score a bucket.
I think he would hold up better than Jalen Green. Much better. He would be better than Jalen Green. Jalen Green had a 38-point game. But if you look at the whole series, what did he average for the series?
Yeah, probably less than
he averaged 13 points a game, which means he lived off of that 38-point game and got continually worse every game.
He's terrible last night. You're absolutely
He's a bad player. If you say, and you can say, well, Pa's not a good defender. He's a better defender than Jalen Green. Jalen Green can't guard nobody. I'm just telling you, sometimes you can look at talent, and then sometimes you can look at guys who don't have as much talent, but they're winning basketball players. I'm just saying, I think Jalen Green is a losing basketball player.
It's fair. I told you about Jabari Smith when he came out. I think Jabari Smith is a bust, and I think the biggest issue is when they took Jabari Smith too, not what Jalen Green brings to them. And listen, I think Jalen Green's athleticism jumps off the page. And I think with another year with Ime Udoka, this is his first year with them. With another year with Ime Udoka, I think he can develop. I think Şengün can develop. I think they're defensively going to be one of the best teams in basketball with Amen Thompson and the way they play overall basketball. So I think that he can really develop in that system. But I hear your point. He is mentally weak. He played terrible in this series outside of one game. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just don't want to write off a guy that just turned 23.
I get it. A lot of people are going to see that way. But I look at it a different way. I look at it, if you've been in the league 4 years, almost 5 years, I'm going to kind of think you are who you are. And a lot of times we always go, well, what is his ceiling? Well, sometimes they surprise you. He might be at his ceiling.
If he's at his ceiling, man, that athleticism just jumps off the page.
Yes, he's incredibly athletic, but there's a lot of guys athletic that you don't want as your number one or number two option.
It's fair. Brett, what's your thoughts on it? I see you posting the comments. I see you what's your thoughts on it?
When it comes to Jalen Green, he's an interesting player. Like, he's very athletic. He can jump out of the gym, but also, like, he's fast, but he doesn't really have counters. He just knows how to go, like, in a straight line drive. He doesn't really have any stop and go stuff going for him. The way he gets going is the pick and roll. He's, like, athletic, but doesn't know how to weaponize it all that well. So it's there, but overall, like, I just think he's inconsistent. I've always seen Jalen Green more as, like, a sixth man. And to me, that's really not that big of a slight when it comes to Jalen Green. He strikes me as a volume shooter who's inconsistent. And that's just kind of what I thought about him, like, when he came into the league. And I've given him like 4 years now to change his opinion, and it really hasn't. I know we mentioned, guys like James Harden, for example, but the difference between someone like Harden and Jalen Green is playmaking. Someone like James Harden, you can see the playmaking chops early. Jalen Green just doesn't have that same playmaking ability. He just kind of strikes me more as a volume shooter. So I think he still has potential. He's going to have a long and great career in this league, but I think he's going to be more as a six-man who can absolutely swing the flow of a game for you if he's hot. But should he be your best player?
So
No.
I just saw a comment by Carmike. Let Kobe Bryant in the same conversation. You talked about Kobe's first 2 years. We just talked about how Jalen Green's 23. Kobe was 18 in year one. The question I would ask you, Carmike, what was Kobe doing at age 21, age 22, age 23? You got to know the history to even have that conversation. Kobe made the All-Star team in year 2 as a sixth man. Let's not ever put Jalen Green and Kobe Bryant in the same conversation.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. I do want to give a little bit more pushback on it. I think calling him a sixth man is definitely disrespectful. I want to be very clear when I say that. And I don't mean it's disrespectful as in like you guys don't know what you're talking about. You guys obviously know what you're talking about. But I think your career projection for what he becomes versus what he is just different than mine. And I'll respectfully disagree and tell you that I can see all right. So like when you looked at Tyrese Maxey's first 2 years and the jump he made from year 2 to year 3 and the jump he made from year 3 to year 4, so the jump hopefully he'll make from year 4. You've seen a huge jump from Tyrese Maxey's game. And I think that you can see that same thing with Jalen Green. I think you can see that jump coming into next season. I think you have 82 more games to progress and work on what you need to. And they have the right coach there to help, generate his game, in my opinion.
I think you could see that jump. But I don't think Jalen Green is the dog that Tyrese Maxey is. I think Jalen Green has his little dog in him. So I get people get enamored with his talent and his athleticism. I always argue the point of how do you apply your talent and your athleticism. I don't think he has the mental makeup to be a number one option. It does take a certain amount of confidence, a certain amount of dog or arrogance. I don't think he has that.
That's fair.
I just need him to show me that he's like more than a scorer, right? Like he's shown me he can score, and I understand he can do that. But all right, you want to be the guy? There's more to that than just kind of being athletic and scoring like he can do. Can you play make? Can you set your other teammates up? And I know he's got Sengun to handle a lot of that heavy lifting, and he plays with guys like Van Fleet. But can you do it yourself? Because if you want to be the guy and you want to be this number one option, you're going to have to be able to kind of do that on your own. You're going to kind of have to be able to just kind of impact the game more than just overall scoring. And that's kind of what I want to see from him. Show me something besides you're an athletic scorer. Because to me, like, that just screamed, that's what screams six man to me. But if he comes out next year and shows kind of just being able to make connective reads just based off of what the defense is giving him and add some more stuff to his game, I'm always willing to change my opinion and views on a guy. But to me, he's just got to take that next step for me. And
this is a fun conversation. It's a fun conversation because we can review it again. I happen to think if they stand pat, then they believe what Gene believes. But if they make a big move in the offseason, he will be part of whatever package they put together.
I just believe that offensively, now I'm not saying defensively, because defensively Flash was on a whole nother level. But I think offensively he can be Dwayne Wade. And we were looking at Dwayne Wade's career that he had at Marquette. He played at college. I think he was a senior when he came out, or a third year. He was an older guy that was drafted. And if Jalen Green had that time to develop at the college level, he didn't. He obviously came to the pros very early. He was very raw. So, like, if we compare the career arcs of where Dwayne Wade was at 23 and Jalen Green at 23, I don't think it would be that far off. I'll say this. Dwayne Wade was one of the best two-way guards I've ever seen play basketball. Defensively, he was special. He's the best shot blocking guard I think I've ever seen in my life. So I'm not comparing them because Dwayne Wade's full game was better. I'm saying their offensive game, their 2-point game, their getting to the rim, their athleticism have jumped off the page. I think he can be that.
I would love to see him kind of watch some Wade, because one thing elite offensive players can do that he normally doesn't is get to the free throw line. Jalen Green is somebody I would love to see get to the free throw line more as well. Like, Wade came into the league and he was pretty elite at that, as shown by that 06 finals where he shot like 96 free throws in 6 games. I don't need him to be that good at drawing fouls, but I would love to be just next year see him add the ability to just get easy points at the line, stop settling for so many like just contested long jumpers. Get inside, draw some contact, get yourself to the line, get a couple easy points here and there.
He's easily discouraged. You can easily reroute him. You couldn't do that with Wade. You can reroute Jalen Green, and he will settle for a contested jump shot. If you're that quick and that athletic, you should always be able to be like, if nothing else, I can get to the rim and get to the free throw line. He shies away from contact, which is weird because Houston prides himself as a physical team, but he's not a physical player.
No, you're right. You're right. And a lot of things that you said are absolutely correct. I think that him getting to the free throw line would help his shooting a ton. You seen last night what it did to Steph Curry just to see one ball go through the hoop. And I'm not saying he's anywhere near the shooter that Steph Curry is, but sometimes shooters just need to see a ball go into the basket. And I think that's the difference between his 38-point game and his 8-point game is early, if his shot's not falling, he cowers away and doesn't keep shooting. Whereas the great shooters like Steph Curry, they can go for 5 from 3 and finish 4 for 10. Like they don't care. I'm hitting 4 out of my next 5 and I'm going to hit them from anywhere. Whereas Jalen Green wants to, let me go back into my cocoon.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I'll say since we're talking the Warriors, we might as well throw out our predictions real quick, because obviously they've set up a date with the Minnesota Timberwolves round 2.
This is not a real quick thing. This is not a real quick thing, Brett. Because I cannot. That Warriors winning last night makes my second round. I don't care about the Eastern Conference. I am watching the Western Conference and the Western Conference in the second round, because both of these series are incredible. You have the Nuggets versus Oklahoma City. You have Ant Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler. Like, I am fired. I TiVo that shit. I'm watching that. DVR. Like, I cannot wait. We're not briefly giving this situation. That's not happening. I got Warriors. I said this last night. I like the Warriors. I've been on the Warriors. I know me and Mo disagree. Mo said they'll win a first-round series and then they'll be gone, so I'm assuming you'll go Minnesota. But I like the Warriors. I do. I like the playoff pedigree. I love playoff Jimmy. I love Steph Curry. I love what Draymond Green brings. I just think they really need to make some moves. And they're not going to get burnt yet because they haven't ran into a 7-footer that's going to hurt them. And Rudy Gobert will not offensively hurt them. So I think that the size is a huge issue for Golden State, but not in this series. Not in this series at all. I think that you're going to get Jimmy Butler going against his old team. It is going to be a very physical series, a lot of fights, a lot of arguments, a lot of technical fouls, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I would say I wouldn't be too sure about Rudy Gobert not hurting him offensively because that's what the Lakers thought, and then he put on a master class in an elimination game.
Draymond Green is different than that bum, Jackson Hayes, and whoever, and LeBron James playing center. And I'm not saying he's better than LeBron defensively. Draymond Green will not allow him to have 30 points in this series. I will guarantee you that.
Absolutely. I don't think it'll happen, but, I'm hoping for it. I would love to see a Rudy Gobert 30-point game on Draymond's head just to see his reaction.
That's fine.
I think that it really depends on Anthony Edwards. If Anthony Edwards is aggressive, they don't have any one defender that can guard him. Not Jimmy Butler, not Draymond Green. They're going to have to hedge. They're going to have to double. If they can play him straight up, it's going to be a short series. But if they have to hedge and react to what he does, that's why I think it'll be a 7-game series, and I would go with Timberwolves. I think if Anthony Edwards establishes himself as the best player in that series, that will be why it's a 7-game series. That, and along with the fact that if I'm going to see playoff Julius Randle again, if I'm going to see playoff Jaden McDaniels again, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. The matchup isn't necessarily Draymond and just Rudy Gobert, because I love Jimmy Butler, but Julius Randle's a big man. I have to assume that Draymond's going to match up with Julius Randle as much as possible, but it depends on, I guess, the lineup. But if Julius Randle has played like he did the last game, where he didn't dribble the air off the basketball and he was just making direct line drives, that's a problem. So I do think Minnesota is the bigger, more physical team. And Draymond's going to have to watch his temper, because if he loses again, I think he's already at where if he gets one more tech, he misses a game. So I think it will be a physical game. And I get why anybody would pick Golden State when you say the names Green, Curry, playoff Jimmy. I get all that. But I think these series are usually decided, yes, the stars matter, but they're usually decided by the guys that complement the stars. And I'm not a big believer in Buddy Hield. What I saw last night, that's more of a one-off than what he normally is. I don't see Buddy Hield having another game like that the rest of the playoffs.
No, probably not.
I think that Minnesota is the better basketball team. We'll see.
And I think you kind of said it perfectly with that, because I think that what ends up deciding this series, will end up being the X factors down the stretch. To me, the big key for Minnesota, besides will and just settle for threes, is will Julius Randle play like he did last series? Because if he did, then I'm tipping my hat to the Timberwolves as Julius Randle's going to shoot 50% from three again, or even 40%.
Listen, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't hear it. I thought you were wrapping
up. Oh no, you're all good. And with the Warriors, who's going to step up? We know Jimmy's going to draw Jaden Daniels. Steph's probably going to draw some mix of
Mike Conley.
And they might switch onto him occasionally, but they won't do it that often. So, to me, who's going to step up for Golden State? To me, who's going to step up for Minnesota? Because we know how both defenses are going to attack the Stars. They're going to be super aggressive and physical. It's going to be up to these role players and other number 2 and 3 options to step up. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
It don't matter if it's Rudy Gobert, Rudy Huxtable, or that walk-on at Notre Dame Rudy. Dubs and 6.
I think the Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards matchup is fascinating. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Ant's got all the raw talent in the world, but Jimmy Buckets combines his talent with that amazing basketball IQ, and he's the dog's dog. So, like I said, I think it's an amazing matchup. I think it's a 7-game series, and I'm here for it.
I asked you a question, and you brought up Jimmy Butler, and I kind of want to get your opinion. There was a moment in that game last night where Fred VanVleet, I think, let his emotions get the best of him, and he shoved Jimmy Butler in the back on that fast break. And Jimmy Butler got up, and you seen Jimmy Butler, and he stopped, and Fred VanVleet did not move out of that man's face. Like, yeah, do something, Jimmy. Yeah, do you think that, like, because the playoffs take a toll on people? You already mentioned Draymond Green with the technical fouls. Jimmy Butler definitely has that IQ, but he definitely has that hothead in him. What is your overall thoughts on the Warriors as far as their overall mental, their IQ? Do you think they can keep it together? Do you think they can keep their emotions in check? Because this will be an emotional series, 100%. Draymond hates Rudy Gobert. Jimmy Butler hates the Minnesota Timberwolves. 100%. And Edwards hates Draymond Green.
Right.
Like, these guys are going to be going at each other's throats. What team do you think could be more composed?
Honestly, I still would give a mental advantage to the Warriors just because they've done it time and time again. Like, even though this is Jimmy Butler's first year with them, Jimmy Butler has done it in the playoffs time and time, even though he runs hot. You talked about the moment last night. I saw a moment in Game 6 where Şengün fouled Jimmy Butler, like he went over his head, and Jimmy Butler got up, and instead of like swinging at him, he just pointed at him like, "Yo, don't let it happen again." Like, I trust Jimmy to control his emotions. I don't know about Draymond, and we're talking about a guy who's one of the smartest players to ever play basketball, but he so much of what he does is his emotion, and sometimes he just loses control of them. Like, Draymond Green is in that same vein as Chris Paul to me, in that they're great players. These things are both true. They're both all-time great players. Chris Paul to me is vastly underrated for the kind of career that he's had, but at the same time, they both do a lot of suspect things that they get away with.
Bro, technical he got on Fred VanVleet last night.
Yeah,
like he didn't do anything. Like, dude, you threw your whole arm in it. It was the most unawkward motion ever.
And it's crazy, right, Gene? You saw what I saw, but I'm listening to Stan Van Gundy go, "No, it's a natural motion." He was awkward, and he wasn't trying to do anything. I was like, you threw your hands over his head and slapped down, and you kicked your legs up. You did a lot of things that weren't natural things. And this wasn't me rooting against the Warriors. This is me saying, like, it's weird that sometimes Draymond's reputation of being the bad guy works in his favor too.
It works against him a lot too. They give him a lot more technicals. There's sometimes he'll get a technical foul for something I don't think he did wrong. But last night was 100% one of those things where there might have been players that were ejected for what he did, and they're just giving him a technical foul.
That's my point. That what I saw, that's an ejection.
Yeah, so wild. And he's like, pretends like, what? You're gonna foul? What? like they like made it like there was like, why are you even looking at this? I don't know, dogs. Like, we watched the same thing.
Wait till this series actually happens and he and Gobert get tangled up. He and Julius Randle or Anthony Edwards get tangled up, because Draymond he doesn't just get tangled up with people. Somebody usually goes to the ground.
Yeah.
Bro,
I got just a question for you.
What's up?
You love Ant Edwards, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. I do want to ask you this question because I don't know what it is. I'm trying to find it. I love watching Anthony Edwards play basketball. I do. But there's something missing. And I don't know what it is. And I when I see something missing, I go to my guys. And Brett and Mo are my guys. They're my guys. Ant is a great player. Ant is the next one. Ant could be the future face of the league. Ant-Man is just his attitude. There's just something missing. And there's times in the game where I feel like me and Mo talked about this. It was like 2-3 games into the Wolves Lakers series, and Ant wasn't taking over. And like, it's 1-1, and Ant hasn't looked like Anthony Edwards. There are times he just goes missing, and I'm just trying to figure out what's missing.
When it comes to Ant, there are some like holes you can exploit in his game. Like when he's aggressive and getting downhill is when he's at his best. I think we saw a lot in the Lakers series. I think the problem sometimes with Ant is he knows that paint's going to be crowded at times. When you have Rudy Gobert, Jaden Daniels, and Julius Randle, those are three guys that most defenses won't really respect as a shooter a lot of the times, especially, in the case of Rudy and Jaden Daniels and Julius. he'll settle for too many shots, but you can still exploit his playmaking a lot of the times, which he really did well with at times in the series, but that's still just an overall flaw. But I think sometimes it almost feels like it's mental sometimes, the way that, because like Julius Randle shot really well last series. The paint was more wide open last series, but I think he still like almost sees it as more crowded at times than it really is, because he spent all year with those two struggling. And I think overall, just it's spacing that throws him off at times, because he thinks, well, I'm going to drive. There's going to be 2 or 3 people in there, and I think that just discourages him at times. So I think between his playmaking being kind of shaky and him just kind of seeing double in the paint, that can kind of prevent him from taking over games at times.
I I think that I agree with everything Brett said. I think to me it's more of a mental thing. Like people always point out about Anthony Edwards' swag, that he's got that swag. He does have that swag, but I don't think he's a killer. I don't think he's a killer. I don't think he wants to stump your neck out. I don't think he's there yet. Because even when they play a small lineup, too many times he will easily settle for a three. And it's almost like the fact that he added a three to his game, and sometimes it hurts him because he settles for threes unnecessarily. And there are moments in the game where you're like, put your head down, attack the basket. It's a 3-point game. You're up 3. This is where you go to the hole. This is where you you stomp them out, and he'll just pull up for no reason and take a wild 3. I don't think he's a killer yet. And look, we talked about guys' age. He's 23. Could that come into him? It could. But I think right now, I'll agree about the swagger. I don't know if he's a killer, though. I don't know if he's that guy that will openly say, this is my house. I'm the baddest man on the floor. If I'm not doubled, I'm going to destroy you this whole series. I didn't feel that way even in the last series. Gene and I talked about it. I felt like the series was close, but it was out there to where it could have been had even sooner. And he didn't really put his stamp on the series until later on. I'm not arguing that he's not a great player and that he's not their best player. But I do agree with Gene. There are times in the game you're like, isn't Ant on the floor? Where is he at? What happened? It's weird that somebody that has that kind of swagger can disappear from time to time, but he does do that. And I think because I don't think he has that killer instinct in him.
Control said the bad threes are happening now because of the season he had. When you lead the league in threes, you chuck up some bad ones.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, agreed. I get that. But here's what I say. I want my star player, my number one option, especially one that has his athletic ability. If you're going to take 10 threes, I need you to take 10 free throws per game too. I need you to get to the line at least 10 times a game as well.
Okay. Brad, I need you on record. What is your prediction for the series?
Give me I'll take Wolves in 7.
Okay. And I got Dubs in 6, and then Mo's got Wolves in 7. Just so we're all on record. We got two well, before we get into matchups tonight, Control's in the chat too. It's perfect time. I'm gonna guide this one real quick, Brett.
Sounds good.
Last night, game 1, the Cleveland Cavaliers lost on their home court to the Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton. I would like to ask you guys this question. How much of a issue is it that Darius Garland is out, or is it the fact that the Pacers shot 55% from 3, and that probably won't happen again? Is this more of a fluke, or is this more to come if Darius Garland can't get back on the court? Because there's a lot of concern around Cleveland, and Control's told me that Darius Garland's injury is a lot worse than people are perceiving it to be. So I would love to hear your opinions. Was it a blip, or was it the fact that look, I watched that game yesterday. The Pacers shot the friggin' lights out in that game. I think what they end up shooting 53% from 3, 19 of 36. And the Cavs, who've been one of the best 3-point shooting teams all year, were 9 of 38.
That felt like the perfect combination of I feel like that there was a little bit of a blip in that one. The Cavs look like a team that hadn't played in a minute. They just came out rusty, and I don't think they're going to shoot 24% from three, every single game. And I don't think the Pacers are just going to shoot 53% for the whole series. So I think the truth is somewhere in between. I think that there is a lot of flukiness. If the Cavaliers want to turn it around, though, I think that just starts at the head of the snake, though, right? I get it. Donovan Mitchell's going to draw the most defensive attention, but they need better than 13 of 30. But I think that, they'll be much better in game 2. I think you'll see a team in the Cavs that resembles closer to that regular season team in game 2. But yeah, it felt like the Cavs were just really rusty and the Pacers came out red hot, and it created the perfect circumstance for them in game 1.
Mo?
So both teams play fast. So what's not going to change is the pace of the game. Both teams play fast. But I do think, and I'm with Contrell 100%, the Darius Garland injury is a major injury. Darius Garland is not just their second leading scorer. He's another one of their facilitators. He's another shot creator. He's somebody that Halliburton would have to guard, which, by the way, Halliburton can't guard Darius Garland. But he would be another person he would have to guard. Yes, I think the Pacers shooting that high is a blip, but without Halliburton, I don't think Cleveland wins this series. I think it still goes 6 or 7, but I don't think if he's not going to play, they're not the same team. Ty Jerome isn't basically Darius Garland. No one's going to convince me of that because he's not. When you're missing an all-star who's been an all-star all year long, he's not going to play in the series, you're greatly impacted. It changes the game. It also impacts the way the Pacers play defense. So I do think the Darius Garland thing is a big issue. And it does hamper their offense because Mitchell then becomes more of a volume scorer. And I'm good with Donovan Mitchell taking 30 shots if he's going to shoot 50% from the field. But if he's going to shoot the way he did last night, and I think, by the way, he was like 1 for 10 or 1 from 11 for 3.
1 for 11.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win. And look, good on the Pacers for recognizing if they're going to switch everything and Halliburton can get Jared Allen in space, that's barbecue chicken.
Look, I watched that game last night, and Nembhard and Naismith were 9 of 12 from 3, and I just don't think that happens again in this series. I just don't. But what I will say is this: Kyle Anderson could not have put his foot in his mouth any faster than he did by saying that the Cleveland Cavaliers are better without Darius Garland. And one game later, that's completely proven incorrect.
Right.
I think Darius Garland being on the court is a huge lift for the Cavs. I also felt like, and look, they started Sam Merrill, and he looked terrible. Like, I'm just calling it like I see it. He looked really bad. Looked like he wasn't ready. Obviously, Ty Jerome took a lot of those minutes. DeAndre Hunter took a lot of those minutes. But at the end of the day, if you have Donovan Mitchell shooting 1 for 11 from 3, Max Strus 2 for 8, these guys have been shooting the lights out for you all year. They got to be better than that. I'll take you back to the point in the game that really kind of sold it for me. And you go to the fourth quarter, and I think it was like a 1-point game pretty late in the game. And it was, I'm going to get right to the shot chart. Yeah, it was a 3-point game with 4 minutes and 50 seconds left, or 3 minutes and 48 seconds left after Ty Jerome hits the pull-up. Miles Turner makes the tip shot, and after that, the Cleveland Cavaliers did not get another good shot until Donovan Mitchell dunked when they were down 10. They just didn't get a good shot. They were taking bad shots. I remember watching the game with my buddy on the couch, and we're like, there's 6 seconds left in the shot clock, and they haven't even looked at the rim yet. And now they're in that situation to where, all right, we got to fire a shot up here that's probably not going to be a good shot. The Cavs looked terrible down the stretch. Their offense didn't look like it flowed down the stretch. That was concerning to me.
I thought they felt the pressure too. I thought they were pressing. They felt pressure. They felt the game slipping away, and I thought you're right, they were just taking wild shots that they normally wouldn't take within the scheme of their offense. What really hurt them overall in the bigger picture is they're one of the best defenses in the NBA, and they couldn't slow Indiana. Like Indiana could get whatever they wanted. And Evan Mobley just won DPOY. He's got to have a bigger impact on the game. If you're the reigning DPOY, you have to have a bigger impact on the game. I just didn't think he had any impact on that end of the floor. If their defense is going to be like this throughout the series, they can't win this series.
I know that stats don't tell me this, but as watching that game, it felt to me like Jarrett Allen had a bigger impact than Evan Mobley did. The stats don't tell you that. Mobley had 20 points, but like Jarrett Allen looked like he was constantly involved in plays at the rim, trying to alter shots, whereas Evan Mobley constantly looked like he was trailing and he just wasn't getting to the closeout the way he has all season. So I agree with you.
It's when it comes to the Cavs, I think they just got to also just go to their big. You don't always have to settle for a lot of threes, right? Go to your bigs more. Just slow the game down a little bit. I know the Cavs want to play fast, but if you try to play fast, you're just playing right into the Pacers' hands. And when you have a bigs inside like Allen and Mobley, when you have guys that can draw free throws like Donovan Mitchell, I know he can. Get downhill, get to the free throw line. Mobley wasn't efficient, 9-13 yesterday. They don't really have anything to slow him down. You can play fast. But at times, slow the game down, man. Just dump it to your big, let him cook a little, or get Allen going downhill in a little rim running action. I just think that I know they want to go fast, but I also think at times the Cavs need to understand you can slow the game down and it's okay. And that's normally when the Pacers struggle, is when you force them to play at a slower pace. So I think a key to this series will be better control of the tempo, because they're not going to be able to run with Indiana that well without Garland.
Let me just add one more thing. We talked a lot about how well Cleveland played this year, how they were start to finish the best team in the East and was deserving of all their flowers. We also said there's one thing to be the best team in the East in the regular season, and then the playoffs come. Are you going to be able to be the best team once the playoffs start? And I'm not making excuses, because I think we all agree without Darius Garland, they're compromised a great deal. But I need to see if they're going to be that team defensively that they've been all year long the rest of this series, because I agree, Gene's right. The Pacers aren't going to shoot the three that way consistently. But I'll say this. They have a couple of guys on their roster that, for whatever reason, they're horrible three-point shooters throughout the regular season, but their body of work in the playoffs kind of go against that number. Like Andrew Nembhard is a 29% three-point shooter, but in the postseason, going back to last year and this year, he's the 57% three-point shooter.
I mean, they had a 50-50-90 game. If a player had a 50-50-90 season, it'd be the greatest shooting season in NBA history. They had a 50-50-90. That's not going to happen again. Like you shot over 50% from the field, over 50% from the three, and missed one free throw. I don't know. I'm not that panicking, but
yeah, I still think it's Cavs in 6. I think that
Really?
they still win this series.
Wow.
I still think the Cavs win this series. I don't think there's anything overly I don't think you panic too much if you're the Cavs, because it took all that and you still only lost by 9. You still kept it, close-ish. So,
but they don't need Garland, so you think they're good? They're going to win the series. No Garland.
I think they can still beat him without Garland.
Hey, wrap your mind around this. Game 2 is a must-win for the Cavs. It's a must-win. The pressure is all on the Cavs. You don't think the Pacers are going to come in there cocky, playing with house money, having no fear? I think this is the biggest game of the Cavs season, this next game.
You gotta have big time players. And I think the Cavs do, though. Donovan Mitchell has shown you in big time moments he can be a big time player.
Love Donovan Mitchell.
We have 9 minutes left, and we have 2 series that start tonight. I would love to just get your opinion so we can get everything on record of where we're at going into these series. The Knicks play the Celtics. I think that on paper, this matchup looks better than it does on the floor. I think the Celtics are the best team in basketball. I've made no bones about it. I think that they're the deepest. I think they're going back to the finals. I think they're going to win the finals. But I think that the Knicks, and they can't seem to get over the hurdle and win the actual game, which matters. You have to win the game. But I think on paper, the Knicks actually match up really well with them. When you have guys like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, like there's not a better like front court that can match up with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum than that. There's just not. So I guess logic tells me, can the Knicks put it together for a series? I don't know. I'll take the Celtics in 5.
Yeah, I'm taking the Celtics in 5 as well because yes, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Bridges, they built that team to beat the Celtics.
Facts.
The only thing is Jason Tatum has dominated that trio. They can't guard him. None of them can guard him. I don't think he's played better against any team than the Knicks this year. And I don't think that changes. I think Jason Tatum is going to be Jason Tatum. I think they're getting Drew Holiday back. Both teams at 100%. I don't think this is a long series. I'm taking Celtics in 5 as well.
I think the X factor to this one it's really simple. His name is Josh Hart. We know how the Knicks like to defend, or the Celtics like to defend the Knicks. They're going to stick Tatum on Karl Anthony Towns because Jalen Brunson's going to want to run the screen and roll action, and he likes to bring the big up into the action. Well, you put Tatum on Cat, then you can switch that action. And Cat doesn't necessarily always like to punish and use physicality to punish guards. What they're going to do is they're going to stick Porzingis on Josh Hart. And Josh Hart has to make him pay because they're going to leave him wide open. That's what they've done all season. Stick Porzingis on Josh Hart. They're going to bring Josh Hart up to the level of the screen. And then they're just going to leave him alone. They're going to focus solely on Brunson. I still think the Celtics win this either way. I think Josh Hart hitting his shots is the difference between a 6-game series and a 5-game series. I'm still taking Celtics, and I think in Celtics in 6. But we're gonna need to see a master class from Josh Hart to extend this series.
I don't have faith in this happening, but I agree another guy needs to step up. But I don't think it's Josh Hart. It's Karl Anthony Towns. If this is going to be a series, Karl Anthony Towns has to outplay the Celtics big men. He can't let Al Horford and Porzingis guard him.
Well, if they have Tatum guard him, he needs to go to the paint and absolutely punish him and get physical with him in the paint. But Karl Anthony Towns has shown you he's nothing but a kitty cat. That's what he is, what he's been his whole career. Soft as cotton.
No argument here. He let Tobias Harris lock him up. So, yeah.
Tobias Harris over me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think that he'll have plenty of opportunity. The Celtics will concede switches. And I think if you run that Brunson Cat pick and roll, he's gonna get like your Drew Holiday and Derek White's on him. So he's gonna have to be aggressive. But I question if he will actually do that, and I don't think he will. And I think that's a big reason why I'm not picking the Knicks. I don't think Karl Anthony Towns will be aggressive enough in order to make the upset happen.
All right, well, Mo, it's time for your favorite series. Is it time for the Oklahoma City Thunder to be exposed for the young team that they are as they go up against a veteran-led Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon? How much trouble can the Denver Nuggets give the Oklahoma City Thunder?
I think the Denver Nuggets can make this. I think if it's a deep series, we're talking 6 or 7 games, I think that favors the Nuggets. I think that this is different for Oklahoma City because you start off immediately knowing Hartenstein can't guard Joker one-on-one. Even the combination of Hartenstein and Chet, that means that somebody's going to be open. I think Aaron Gordon is going to have a great series. I expect big things from Jamal Murray. And look, I don't expect this, but the basketball fan in me wants this. If Russell Westbrook is going to shoot 40% from 3, it's going to be fun.
Well, their season series was 2-2. There was some good games back and forth in it. A couple of them were happening very, very early, but they played back-to-back in March. And one of the games was an absolute Oklahoma City Thunder blowout. And another game, Jamal Murray went absolutely bazooka. And the Denver Nuggets won the game. So I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a good breakdown. I think the series is going to be good. I still have the Thunder, though.
Yeah, look, I don't have a problem with anybody picking the Thunder. I actually thought they would lose in the conference finals, so I guess I'm leaning that way too. But I don't think this is a series that they run away with this. I think this is a series. This is a 6 or 7 game series.
I'll say I think it's going to be Thunder in 6, and I think what's going to kill the Nuggets just like, it almost seems like this is a problem every year, but this is a deep Thunder team. It's going to be the non-Jokic minute that kills them. I think if Jokic is on the court, they're going to play the Thunder to at least even, and maybe they even win those minutes. I wouldn't doubt it. But can the Nuggets keep pace with the Thunder once Jokic is off the court? I don't think they do. I think that will be the difference. I think this will be a fun and entertaining 6-game series. But I think that as soon as Jokic is off the court, when they need him the most, I think Jamal Murray will vanish. I think Michael Porter will vanish. I think the Thunder will attempt to negate Jokic's playmaking by sticking, and I think this guy's the X factor. I think you're going to see a lot of sticking Chet onto Aaron Gordon and just kind of letting him shoot. And you're just going to keep Chet into Jokic's passing lane. So I think this will be a fun chess match back and forth, but just because of how deep the Thunder are compared to the Nuggets, I'm going to give that edge to the Thunder. So I'm going to go Thunder in 6.
I think the Nuggets have to muck this up. I think the Nuggets have to make this a physical series. They can't just let this be about up and down basketball offense. The Nuggets have to make it physical. They got to let Aaron Gordon get up in people. They got to be physical with SGA, with Chet. I think if the Nuggets can muck it up and make it a little bit more of a grind out series, that gives them a chance to actually win the series.
I will give you a player that no one's talking about that I think makes a huge impact in this series. I think that's Alex Caruso. He was an absolute thief in round 1. I think he had 9 steals in 4 games versus the Memphis Grizzlies. If he continues to play defense that way, if he continues to bring a little bit of a veteran leadership to that young team, I think Alex Caruso can be the X factor for the Thunder. Give me the Thunder. I'll say in 6 to not be disrespectful. I wouldn't be surprised if it was in 5.
I'm with Kyle. The biggest X factor for the Nuggets is the same guy that always is, Michael Porter Jr.
That's a really funny comment. If Michael Porter Jr. can be, never mind, he can't be relied on consistently.
He hasn't proven it, but yeah, it does matter. He's going to get open shots.
Well, gentlemen, with the 1 hour mark, I feel like it flies when we're talking basketball. We had an all NBA show, nothing else but NBA. Brett, any final thoughts, comments?
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun talking hoops with you guys. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Definitely appreciate it.
Appreciate everybody in the comments. Mo, do me a favor and close us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at WideWire Network. WideWire Network, we appreciate you.
And we'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thank you guys for tuning in.